or at least they're getting recycled. And then we also do kids programs, and we have a couple of those, and then we also do education. So people can come to the Bike Collective and learn how to work on bikes. And for that, we work on a sweat equity model. So for every hour they give us, we give them $8 toward anything used in the collective.
That's a very nice idea. So, so there's several parts to this. Now, let's see. The first questions I guess I want to ask you about. Let's talk about the programs first, or maybe before we do that, let's talk about the physical space.
Okay.
So, first of all, where is this located?
We're on 29th and Clybourne, which is the Merrill Park neighborhood. It's a little west of Marquette still, and that's like Merrill Park and Concordia, which neighborhood are right next to each other. It's actually one of the lowest income black neighborhoods in Milwaukee. There is no bike shop in the area until you get to Wauwatosa or Eastside Milwaukee. So we are the closest thing that people have to a bike until the recently opened new Bike Collective Culture Space opened up.
Okay.
So now there's one downtown.
Oh, okay. Now, this location, how big is this building? Is it a factory?
We're on the second floor of a pretty large building. We fill the space. We definitely have too many bikes in there right now, which is something we've been working on this summer, is to start figuring out a way of diverting more bikes out of the space so we can take in more. But we have 5 work stands set up, 5 benches with full set of tools, and then we have probably close to about 250 bikes in the space right now, from the little kid tricycles to like the larger adult bikes.
And so, how big of a space is this? Is it as big as this cafe, or a little smaller?
I'd say a little bit bigger than Fuel.
Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good size.
We've got a fair amount, pretty big space. There are stairs upstairs, so unfortunately we're not as accessible as we would like to be.
Yeah.
But the space is donated generously by Tom Fritz, who owns a photography studio down in that area. 10 years ago, the space the Milwaukee Bicycle Collective actually started in Riverwest. We think about 13 years ago. We would love to know more history of the beginning, if anybody in Riverwest has that, because we're a little fuzzy on that portion. But in 2002, they moved to this location. Tom Fritz's son was part of the Bike Collective at the time, and he donated the entire upstairs area of this building to us. And to this date, he still donates the space to us. So all we actually pay is water and trash removal.
Wow.
So as a bike collective, that's a very affordable model because we don't have
that kind of overhead.
A huge overhead like most bike collectives do.
Yeah.
So we can sell 20 bikes a year and still make our money back.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit between people who buy a bike and people who put sweat equity into it. So now let's say that somebody just walks in off the street and I want to buy a bike, you've got some bikes sitting there. How do you determine what the cost will be?
We don't have a formal structure. It's one of those things as a key holder. I like to talk about how we work, who becomes a key holder. As a key holder, you just learn, like a cheaper department store bike that we managed to get working again, so we get the brakes working and the shifting's okay, we price usually about $20. Our bikes range between $20 to $300, depending what we get in.
Yeah.
Most people who just walk in on the street, like on Monday, I had a guy come in, he commutes to Miller Park from that neighborhood. So he's got about a 2.5-mile commute. And he's been walking it, and he's been frustrated about walking, so he came in, bought a bike for 40 bucks. He didn't want to put any work toward it, he just wanted a bike.
Yeah.
So our volunteers work on fixing up, so we have a small stock of ready-to-go bikes, typically $20 to $40.
Now talk a little bit about the volunteers, too. Are these people who are just there to work for sweat equity, or are they there to just promote this collective?
Both. I've been volunteering there a year and a half, and I haven't claimed one single bike yet. but I have done a couple of parts, and like last night I used some stand time to work on my own bike. Some people just come in, like I had a 10-year-old girl a couple weeks ago. She came in and did her 5 hours, and she learned how to work on a bike, and then she got a bike out of it. You know, but I haven't seen her since.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes we have kids who get a bike, then they destroy it, and they come back, and then we work with them again and send them back out again. Or people can also do a half model. So some people, like one of my volunteers, she got her bike stolen, and so she had most of the hours toward her bike, but she just paid the rest in cash. So, you know, and so the nicer bikes, so sometimes we get in some rare bikes or some old, like some of the nicer Schwinn's, the Giants. We got a couple Bridgestones in right now, which are more high-end, older bicycles. We look on eBay, we see what they're going for, and we usually typically try to get around that because we're not going to undersell the bike shops. You know, that's not our reason for being there. We're there to provide a resource for them to be able to either buy a bike or earn a bike, depending which way people want to go. But at the same time, we can't undersell a local bike shop.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, talk a little bit more about like the sweat equity. Now, you say you have stand time. Explain what that means.
So, as a volunteer, we have different levels of volunteerism. We have people who just generally volunteer, which are often usually the kids, and people just want to come in for a couple of hours and earn a quick buck. And for that, everybody who volunteers gets $8 an hour of, like, by collective money. You know, and that $8 goes toward any used parts or any new bikes that are in the space. Now, then that can go from people who start volunteering, they find they really like it, and then they stay a little bit longer, they keep coming every week or every couple of weeks. Now, if you put in 8 hours a month of time of sweat equity, you get to be called what's called a dedicated volunteer. So there's some extra perks that come with that. So some ordering perks, because we do have an account through J&B, and at that point we will work with you in getting parts for your bike and all that. But you got to give us the time and show that. And then I'm not going to say what the percentages are because that's something we work out with our team leader. But it's like if somebody gives us 8 hours a month, they are now considered essentially a shop employee.
What if they want to put in more than 8 hours?
If they're putting more than 8 hours, they will start becoming what's called a key holder status.
Okay.
So one of our current volunteers, one of our current key holders actually was a MIAD intern. So we work with MIAD and get interns in for service learning. And he actually stuck around. And he kept volunteering, working on his own bikes, working on other people's bikes, and he kept coming in. Well, when he graduated this summer, he has put in over 6 months, at least 6 months or more, of 8 hours a month or more.
Wow.
And so because of that, he asked for a key, and then we collectively at our meetings decide, yes, you have gotten, the right to have a key. You've shown us that you have the time.
Oh, you mean a key to the place to come in and work anytime you want.
Exactly.
So is that a lifetime key?
No. It's based on, you have to keep, in order to become a key holder, you have to have 8 hours a month in, and you got to attend at least half of our meetings.
Okay.
So if you do that, then you get to keep the key, and if you disappear on us, then we get the key back.
Okay.
Right now we currently have 6 key holders. So we're actually at a low end of key holders, so right now we're really in need of more people who can step up and do it, because honestly, the more people who volunteer, the more we can be open. Our biggest problem is that we don't have enough key holders, and we all have jobs. We have somewhere to be.
Right, so everything is volunteer. Does anybody ever...
However, for key holders, there is a small stipend, very, very small stipend, every month that you get as long as you hold your hours.
Okay.
Many of us use that stipend to get parts
for the bike. Support your habit.
Exactly. But there is a lot of incentives that have been built in to keep people there. Like, I currently have about $900 of sweat equity that I haven't used, but if I ever want to, I can get a bike, I can get some parts, so there are.
So it adds up.
It adds up, and I get a stipend every month too.
It's better than a savings account right now.
Yeah, it's more than I got in my savings account.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're getting something of value.
Yep.
For this time that you put in, more so than the interest rate on a savings. I mean, if you had $900 in the savings account, you get 90 cents.
Yeah. And then you get a lot of experience.
Like a month, maybe, if you're lucky to get that. So this is, in a sense, this is better. This part of the new economy. This is better.
Oh yeah.
Than
Yeah, it's not based on cash. It's based on your time.
Yeah.
And we still do need cash to keep going.
Yeah.
We do have some bills.
Well, that's a good.
We can operate on a very low budget.
That's a good segue. So, can people just donate? Can people just drop some money off a check, or is it tax deductible?
Here we are. We're a nonprofit since 2002, and we do retain that nonprofit status. So anybody can donate money at any time if they want to drop off a check or cash. We take bikes at any time, so if people want to donate bikes, we take any bikes in any condition. If it's not savable, we again make sure it responsibly gets to a scrapyard instead of a landfill.
So let's talk about that a little bit too. So you have this bike and it's sitting in the garage, and your kids are gone, they got all new fancy bikes, and they want to drop this off. What are they looking at as far as donation for the tax write-off?
It depends on the bike. If it's like a Walmart bike, I look at like $5.
Okay.
$5 to $10 depending on the condition, and then if it's a nicer bike, you're looking at like 25 or 30. So we have the forms, we fill out the tax donation forms, and then we give it to you, and then the person's able to go and put it off their taxes for the year.
I'm sure there's garages all over Milwaukee with some pretty nice bikes in it.
Oh yeah, we would love to get some of those bikes in.
Yeah. So
and even if they're not so great, at least then we know it's not going to a place that we don't want them to go to, because honestly there's enough of those bikes going that direction.
Talk about these old Walmart and Kmart bikes that are pretty trashy. They don't last very long. Where do you actually send them? I mean, there's enough aluminum in there to recycle it.
We work with scrappers in the area. We have one guy we currently work with. We just call him, and he picks up his truck and he takes everything and brings it there. Yeah, aluminum's worth actually quite a bit right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, all precious metals or metals in general. Yeah. So does he give you money for the scraps, or does you just give it to him and
we currently don't have the funds to buy a truck. Yeah. So in the past we've done our own scrapping. I haven't been part of that, but historically we get $20 here and there, which is not worth their time.
No, right.
It just gives one of the local guys who scraps some additional business he normally wouldn't have gotten.
That helps him.
We actually tend to help him out more for taking the time out than.
And that's nice because he's providing a service and it keeps him going, and he's kind of his own little entrepreneur there, driving up and down the alleys, picking up the garbage.
He doesn't have to go pick it up. We give him a call.
It's worth it. Talk a little bit more about this stuff for kids. Now, let's say, for instance, there's what's the youngest kid you had who came in to want to get a bike?
As young as 3, 2.
But the parents came with them.
Yes, hopefully. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many siblings come in together.
Yeah.
We have 2 kids programs. One is kids 5 and under get 1 free bike once a year. So I think we had probably about 200 kids bikes this winter.
Yeah.
And we actually yesterday just had one come back. So sometimes we'll have like these kids 5 and under bikes will go out, they'll use them for the time, and then actually sometimes they usually come back to us, and the kids will exchange out for the next one and then keep going. So
great idea.
It's a nice way of not having to have more kids bikes out than we really need. And then also we have kids 6 and over. Okay. They can volunteer toward them. Yeah. Depending on the maturity level of the 6-year-old. We kind of work with that age.
So you have maybe clean bike bikes or pick stuff up around
various
the shop?
things. That's actually one of the things we're working on that we would love volunteers to help us with is we're trying to develop more of an education program with the kids. Like right now we do general tasks, sweep, clean, we teach them how to fix flats. Anybody can learn how to change a flat. I don't care how old you are. I mean, our 6-year-olds can learn how to change a flat if they have an easy enough tire to get off. But then we show them, parts of a bike, realize how everything works, try to give them some sense of ownership.
Yeah.
Because we find that kids who learn more about how hard it is to fix a bike, once it's ruined, they are more likely to take care of that bike than just throw it to the curb.
Right.
Then they're like, they actually use the kickstand, or maybe they don't ride in the middle of the road. They're more aware of this bike is worth something. It's not just a free thing.
It has part of them in it, so that's, they learn a little bit more respect for the objects or the item that they have.
So one of our models with the kids is nothing's free. And we have a lot of discussions with kids about that because they're like, it's free. And it's like, it's not free, you earn it. We're trying to get them to understand that. It doesn't matter, I think, where politically your views are in like the United States right now. It's like, I think we need to start realizing, especially for a young generation, that to teach them those values that if you want something, you can work for it. It doesn't need to be money. It can be your time and your effort and putting into
There's more value to it. You're teaching values here. Now, what about, do you have any school programs? I mean, there's a lot of schools here at MPS.
The Bike Fed does most of that.
Pardon?
The Bicycle Federation does many of those programs. They do the Safe Routes to School program, and they do the North Division High School has a bike shop program. So we actually more defer the local school questions to the Bike Fed.
Explain it. I'm not quite following along with that. That's like a program at MPS or something or is it outside of MPS?
It's outside of MPS, but MPS works with Wisconsin Bicycle Federation.
And what is Wisconsin Bicycle Federation?
They are a bicycle advocacy group for the state of Wisconsin. So they're the ones who get the laws changed. They fight. They're the ones who are representing bicyclists in Wisconsin.
I see.
And they do a lot of good programs like the Safe Routes to School program and the mechanics class. However, we have done some things where we had like a special education teacher contacted us to see if we can work out a deal with helmets for our kids for the trike that they have. So we worked out like a deal so that way she can get a bit more affordable helmets for the kids at the school.
Good idea.
We've also had recently a Boy Scout troop come up. And the Boy Scout troop came up for like a 2-hour special class. There's some possibilities of us working with Hope House, a nonprofit that I just recently talked to someone about. So we have nonprofits who contact us who want to do education classes, and we do our best to accommodate that within our ability. Again, it's just, we're only open 3 days a week. And so it's really hard for us to really accommodate more school programs than we currently have.
All right, so basically, when people come to the collective, they're going there for specific reasons. They're going there to find a bicycle. They're going there to earn some sweat equity to get a bicycle, or they just love bicycles and want to
learn more about how.
And as far as reaching out to the community, I found out about the Bike Collective via word of mouth, and I know a couple people who went there and they spent some time on some Saturdays and they were fixing their bikes and they just liked the whole idea behind it. So, can you add, what else this initiative does? What it's been doing, and how you think it's valuable to the community.
What we have been doing is, you're right, we don't do a lot of outreach actually as an organization, and honestly we haven't needed to. We've been around for 10 years. People find out about us because the word of mouth. If you Google do-it-yourself, fix-my-own bike, or along those lines, we're like the first hit in Milwaukee. We have bikecollective.org as a website, so which shows how long we've been around.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a really great website, so that's one way we direct people. We've done things. We actually recently had the Whole Foods bag donation, like the dime a bag program. So our logo got put up at Whole Foods for like 3 months. So that was really great, like secondary advertising for us.
Did you get a lot of people who came in for that?
We don't know yet. We haven't found out. I'm trying to reach her right now still. But then we also, I did have some people stop in and said they saw it. We pop up when people search for bike donations. Us and Dream Bikes are two places people can drop off bikes. So we find that we haven't done much outreach, but we did do this year on Gordon Park, Energy Independence Day. We were there giving up free tune-ups, letting the community know. If we had more volunteers, something we would like to do is get out more at the farmers markets and like things like that, doing like tune-ups and looking at people's bikes and just getting the word out that way. The most effective way we get out in the community is usually by doing small like tent or tune-ups at these little events that we can talk to people one-on-one about what we do, and then that's just Bike to Work Week. We were at Bike to Work Week all week at Foundry, and we really outreach to the bike community that way. So within our limited time that the key holders have, we're able to do more outreach.
Will you be doing anything at the riverwest 24 this weekend?
We will not be. Most of us are racing.
And this is like vacation for you
Exactly.
guys.
We're actually coming out open this weekend because of it.
Special holiday.
And then the second question was initiatives.
Yeah, the initiatives. I guess. Well, I was wondering about, if you. Well, actually, you kind of covered that when you talked about the farmers market and these little tent stands and getting out that way. And I suppose it seems to me that the thing that this collective needs most of all are volunteers. So how do you attract volunteers? How do you get people to actually show up and keep showing up?
If they want their bike, they got to keep showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got like, if you don't show up, you don't get any money toward your bike. If your claim tag is over a month old, you lose claim to that bike. So you gotta keep showing up at least once in a while to get that bike.
Have you thought of other initiatives, working with some sponsors, for instance, take for instance, I'm just throwing this out on the top of my head, Education Credit Union, right?
Yeah.
It's a credit union bank here in Milwaukee, and if they were to sponsor you, maybe throw some money your way to help with, with bikes or fixing the bikes, or even putting out a campaign to get volunteers, would you be interested in doing something like that?
I mean, we did something with that. We recently gave a talk at the Miller Corporation, actually. They asked us to come and do a talk about bikes and safety and commuting, and they actually are doing a bike drive for us. And they also are offering some sponsorship. Lakefront has recently generously sponsored us for beverages for our meetings, which is really nice. Actually, at the bottom of our webpage, we have lots of links to different places that have sponsored us over the years. We had Whole Foods, Concordia neighborhood group gave us some money, which actually this coming winter is something new at the Bike Collective. We have heat for the first time in 10 years.
Wow.
We haven't had heat in 10 years. And so this winter we can actually work in this space versus bundling up once a month and getting out there. So that's completely going to change what we can do for the spring. We can get so much more of a head start and do more education when it's slower. But the only thing is we haven't done much outreach because we have such a small budget. We can function on $5,000 a year. As a nonprofit, that's a very low number. And so we have been really lucky that people just kind of outreach to us. The green thing is really trendy right now, and we use using recycling bikes, people really like the idea, and that's why we're there. We love the idea.
We have this opportunity because this will be playing during the riverwest 24, and we are hoping people will be listening, and maybe there's a number of people not from the area who will be racing, but there will be people all over the area. And what can you say to them to convince them to come on down, and even if they don't use the sweat equity towards their benefits, to come in and volunteer? What can you say to them to say, you got a Saturday?
Yep.
Come on down.
It feels good to go in. I mean, it feels good. It's empowering to work on your own bike. Even if, to be more empowered when you go bike shopping. It's worth coming by for a couple of hours and just check us out. Maybe you'll find a bike that you want to go on, or maybe you just want to talk to someone about different bike styles or be more connected into the bike community. But the ability to change your own flat can really change, how you commute. Now, you can, rather than just biking a couple of miles, you'll feel more, I find that more people are willing to bike further. Because now you can change that flat and be able to know you can get home.
Yeah.
So it's like I encourage people just to come by and even just learn something about their bike that you may have not learned. And if you don't want to work on your own bike, that's okay. We've got plenty of them. We always need somebody to work on a bike. And it's more than just, you don't need to know how to work on it. Most of my volunteers don't know anything about fixing a bike. I knew very little when I started, and I'm working at a bike shop now, and two of our other key holders work at a bike shop as well, and one of them, Sam, is 40 hours a week over at Truly Spoken right now. The fact we've been coming, it's a place where you can learn a little bit and just get more comfortable on your bike and feel more comfortable when you go out for a bike trip, that you can handle some minor mechanical issues with your bike. And then, or get to the point where you can actually work for a bike shop. And that's really a cool opportunity. So now we have one person has a fully employed full-time job.
Wow.
And another person has a part-time job doing it, and I do it as well. And looking at opening a bike shop. So
will always be bicycles, I mean, you want to talk about this bicycle shop and hostel? You want to give just kind of brief what it is that your vision is for this idea that you have?
Looking to take the skills that I've learned at the Bike Collective and various other nonprofits I've been working with, and opening a 40-bed hostel in Walker's Point with a bike shop and a rental. And actually for the rental bikes, that $900 that I have is going to be really useful very soon, because now I get some rental bikes out of it. So I'm actually using my sweat equity to help start a business up. So people can come to Milwaukee and rent a bicycle, go down to a ball game, go chill out at Miller Park all day and then ride back. Or they can just go check out the beautiful lakefront, the Lake Park, Summerfest grounds, museums. And so we're looking at trying to get more bike tourism in the city. We currently have some happening, but currently we don't have anybody who's traveling by bike where they can come and stay, or where people can come and get a bike at the same place that they're staying in.
Well, tell our audience how they can contact you for either the collective or this idea that you have. Maybe they're interested in financing that, or
We're
helping.
looking for investors.
It's a wonderful idea. But give them where you're located, your phone number, and an email address.
Okay, we're located at 2910 East Clybourne? No, West Clybourne. I always mix up the one. So 2910 West Clybourne. We're between 29th Street and 30th Street by Marquette. And our phone number's on our website. I don't have that memorized.
And give the whole website then.
So it's bikecollective.org.
Bikecollective.org.
And our hours are up on there. We have our schedule up, who's coming in. We have our phone number, and we have our address. You can drop off bikes anytime that we're open. If the bike's in riverwest, we can possibly work with you and pick it up and bring it to the Bike Collective. Always call before you come. We are volunteer run. We're not always on time. So it's always good just to give a quick phone call before you head over, because we know it's about a 5-mile commute from Riverwest.
Yeah.
Just make sure we're open.
Well, I want to thank my guest today, Carolyn Weber, for joining me here on Three Words Radio. Spread the word of our efforts to bring enlightened voices and topics that affect your life in the community, the nation, and the world. Three Words Radio shows are archived for your convenience at riverwestradio.com and on YouTube at Three Words Radio. We hope you will listen and continue to support your public community radio waves. Remember, you own them. Support and take good care. This is Eliza Brooks. Thank you for listening.
And that was Karen Brooks. That was Karen Brooks interviewing Caroline Weber about the Bike Collective. And let me refresh this page, and then I'll give you guys the statistics. And then hopefully we can get someone on the radio who is out there in the field, one of the organizers or volunteers. I'm kind of going impromptu here because Gabe and I are going to do our movie review show in about 15, or actually in about a half an hour. But in the meantime, I'm just kind of filling up time. Okay, so right now, as it stands, the team Noble Optimator, and of course, there's almost no point in reading this to people who are watching us on the site because these statistics are all on the site under leaderboards. So if you're listening on riverwestradio.com, you can also go to riverwest24.com, and you can also listen to the radio and watch the bikers at checkpoint 4 getting their laps tallied up, and we can see what they and you can see the leaderboard here. So Noble Optimator, which is a Class B, I don't know what that class stands for. Hey, can one of you guys bring me my phone? Sorry, I forgot my phone. I was going to call one of the people, and I can hear it ringing now. Noble Optimator has 10 laps. Kraken has 10 laps, and Bangrang has 10 laps. Oh, okay. This is not in order of the highest. Let me see. How do they do this? Maybe it is by. I'm not sure how this order works. Okay, let me do Team A. Okay, Team A. Poisonous Scorpion, Razor Blades, they have a long name, and Fuego has, right now, a total of 11 laps, which a lap is about 5 miles. So they've already done 55 miles in 3.5 hours. So someone could do the math there and figure out what the average pace of that is. But it's that's pretty good. I mean, of course, it's a team, so these bikers are going pretty fast and trading off bikes and so on. Milwaukee Bike Polo is also at 11 laps. After that, let's see, Team B. Noble Optimator has 12 laps. Kraken has 12 laps, and Bangarang has 12 laps. Anyway, let's see what's happening in the solo. Male solos. Original Croatian Sensation is at 9 laps. Trevor Tim, who I believe won last year and maybe even the year before, he's definitely a very strong biker, and he's at 11 laps. So he's almost as many laps as the top teams. If you look at Team A, Trevor Tim is at par with the laps of an entire team. Of course, that could be just one person because teams could switch off every few hours. Team B has 1 lap more than Trevor Tim. So Trevor Tim is doing very, very well for someone who's going to be biking for the entire 24 hours. But he's in. Okay, I see. But Trevor Tim doesn't have any bonus laps yet, and I'm not sure why he has not registered any bonus laps. So look at this again. Yeah, the Poisonous Scorpio Razor Blades en Fuego also has no bonus laps registered yet, and Milwaukee Bike Polo has no bonus laps. But that's because I guess as a bonus laps, the first bonus lap, we're still, let's see now, the first bonus lap closes at 10 p.m. and it's now 10:36. So maybe some of these bonus laps haven't come in yet, because when Trevor Tim's bonus lap comes in, he should be up to 13 laps. And the same goes for the other teams. Now let's take a look at the female solo. Kool-Aid Man is leading because she seems to have her two bonus laps have come in. But in terms of doing laps, she is not the top biker. After her, or there are a few people without bonus laps, or whose bonus laps haven't come in yet, who are at 9 laps without the bonus laps. So that's Coonage, Kata Bob, Team Labrie. Those are the 3 most laps in the female solo category, and they don't have any bonus laps yet. So when they do, they will jump up from 9 to 11. Okay, and then we got the tandem. In the tandem, without bonus laps, the most laps is Short Shorts, but Short Shorts also has their bonus laps in, and that gives them a total of 9 laps. So actually, it's interesting. The tandem seems to move slower than the soloists, and teams usually go a little bit faster than soloists. But like I say, Trevor Tim is almost up there. He got as many laps in as the top Team A, and I'm not sure what distinguishes between an A team and a B team. Maybe it has to do with the number of cyclists on the team. But maybe someone can call in and tell us. If you wanted to call in right now, if you're listening, or if you're listening, the phone number is 935-2951, and we would love to hear from you. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of someone and see if we can talk to someone out there who's doing stuff. Let me see. I'm probably going to be making calls and not having much success at first. Oh, here's a call right away. I'll just take that call. Hello, caller. And I'm not hearing you. If you're calling, maybe try calling back in a second. Maybe there's something weird going on with the line. I'm not sure. Maybe I just didn't pick it up properly. But I'm going to try to make this call. Actually, I'm just going to send a message to this person. Oh, here we get the caller again. Hello, caller?
Yes, hi.
Hi, who's that?
Hi, this is Art.
Art? And are you calling because of the about the bike race?
Yes, riverwest 24. I can hear you pretty good.
Oh, good. So where are you and what's going on? Are you involved with the race, or are you just at home observing it on online, or what's going on?
We spent the evening watching the race develop and the streets being closed off, and it was really a lot of fun, as usual, as it was last year.
Right.
I saw unicycles.
Uh-huh.
I saw a lot of tandems.
Yeah.
I saw moms with babies in trailers. So it was pretty fun, a lot of bells ringing.
Is it going past your house?
It was going by my friend's house.
Oh, I see. Do you live in Riverwest, or you live in another part of town?
I live in Riverwest on the other end from where my friend lives.
I see. And
do you have any idea, Mike? I was told by an organizer there's over 800 registered.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know that.
I was told they cut off the registry. I asked him, did the police set the limit? And he said, no, we set the limit because he said, we know what the capacity is. And he said 850 is about it.
Right. I was actually one of the people who was in line who got cut out and unable to bike in the race. And I think it was somewhere, I thought it was around 750, but maybe it was 800 or 850. And I don't know how they determine, what's too many or too few people, or what's too many people. I'm not sure how they make that determination, but I suppose, this is their 5th year doing it, so they have a sense of what's too much.
Yeah, he seemed pretty in awe that they sold out right away, and I wondered about that too. And it was a lot of fun, as I said, every year. But the thing that I saw when I went to go home this evening, a few hours ago, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I drove through Riverwest, and I didn't really know the route. I hadn't looked at it.
Yeah.
And I came down Fratney and went to Auer, and it was pretty hair-raising for a motor vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that with almost 1,000 people, and as the event gets bigger and bigger every year, I thought, wow, this is a little scary. I happen to be a commercial driver, and I thought, I'm looking as fast as I can, left and right, back and forth, and I thought, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was on one of the routes. Then when it came to Humboldt, I stopped at the stop sign, and a good herd of bikers came shooting around me without stopping at all and shot onto Humboldt. And at that point, I was pretty well on pins and needles, and I thought, is this a protest against people driving home or commuters? Wow.
Yeah.
The only block-off signs or street closed signs are few and infrequent, and I wasn't sure when I was on the route. And although, I'm totally in favor of the event.
Wait, I'm sorry. The last thing you just said got cut off there.
I'm totally in favor of the event, but what I saw as a commercial driver is the potential for serious injury.
Right. And I know that.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a downer about it.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a big concern to the people who organize the race, and they think a lot about it. And I'm sure they have, restless nights thinking about that, because it is such a, luckily this is 5 years now and nothing bad has happened, but there's a lot of potential for a serious injury to happen. And I think that they take that into consideration, but at the same time, what they're afraid of, okay, this is my guess. I haven't really had a long conversation with anyone who organizes it, but my guess is that they still want to keep that integrity of a kind of race that's not like Al's, well, I use Al's Run. I don't even know if Al's Run exists anymore, but like an organized bike race where the whole area is shut off, and that raises the costs of the thing, and then you got to bring in like beer sponsors, and then you have to raise the admission price. I think that what they're trying to do is keep the price still within a really very accessible to all the people in the neighborhood, and at the same time,
I agree.
They want to keep that they want to keep the integrity of the race, but at the same time, the race it keeps growing on them, and they're playing this balancing game between those two things, those two forces, and that's why they have a cutoff amount of people. But I do think that it's a really scary prospect that, someday something bad might happen, and everyone's going to feel really terrible about it, and it would change the nature of things if they had to cut off streets for 24 hours. That's a major inconvenience for drivers or for a neighborhood.
It is, but they could look at route changes. And the other thing is, I think you're right. Totally, I agree with you. But if they look at some route, crossing Humboldt and running Humboldt, they run Humboldt from Burleigh all the way down past North Avenue.
Right.
That probably works because there is a bike lane, but when they cross Humboldt,
yep,
like at Auer and Burleigh has a light, but not to get into details, but I think the main thing is that when you have close to 1,000 people,
yep,
and I've been an avid biker all my life too, but the enthusiasm, I think, is what it is that when I've got a swarm of 6 bicycles shooting around me, going on Humboldt off Concordia, or I think it was Auer, with no regard for signs, and believe me, I love cycling, but
yeah,
I'm a commercial driver,
right.
and I'm looking at it and going, wow, somebody's going to get hurt.
Right, and
you can't really close off Humboldt, but a simple route change.
Well, the thing is that my guess is that they have tried to think of a better way to do it, and they haven't. You know, in 4 years, they haven't come up with a better route. I mean, they've changed the route in little ways, but they haven't changed it a whole lot. I think that in a certain sense, Humboldt is safer because if you had bikers coming from the north and crossing Locust without the lights, like on Wheel Street, for example, then that might even create more of it might cause way more traffic problems. And then they would do the same thing when they got to North Avenue. Whereas if they're going with the lights, and not just north and center as well, if they're going with the lights, at least they are they're stopping at the red light, or they're supposed to be stopping at. The majority of the people are going to stop at the red lights, or if they're going to cross at a red light, they're going to wait until there's an open spot. But if you were to imagine that long course going the other way, it might cause more trouble, even though it does actually come up Pierce. So I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of contradicting myself because it does come up Pierce
right.
without being in the major thoroughfare.
Right. That's pretty good. But the dog leg where they cross Humboldt and then cross again at the light, and there's a live band at checkpoint 2. That's like you got to cross at Auer, but you don't have to. But there was a lot of traffic. I was astounded at the bicycle traffic.
Yeah, and especially you're talking about the early stages.
I mean, I think this is like a great event. I love this, but it's like somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm worried. It's like if this can be like the Tour de France, man, we got to get out here and just shut this place down.
Yeah, like shut the streets down for it.
Yeah, and if it's a great event, well,
Yeah. Well, I think that this issue that you're bringing up is very probably almost number one priority in the minds of the people organizing, and I'm sure they've thought about it in every way they can, and somehow this is the conclusion they've come to, is that if you try to take it to the next level of really securing it so that there's no chance of people getting interacting with traffic, then you're going to change the whole nature of the thing, and it's going to become a different kind of race, and so I think that's my guess. I'm just taking, this is my impression of what must be behind the decisions that are being made. But
I share your thoughts, but I think too that, while it's really cool to be out after dark and having a race, that is so cool. But after dark, it is harder. Visibility is tougher.
Right.
And, I don't want to question that because it's more fun like that.
Yeah.
But personally, I looked at it and I said, wow, I don't know. I just see the potential here for something bad happening. And, if it's going to become a major race, nationwide type contention.
Yeah. Well, part of it is keeping down the numbers. That's one thing. The other thing is that they do have a dunce lap, I believe it is, which is basically like if you get caught doing something like running a red light and causing, doing something that's unnecessarily
right.
provocative, you will be flagged by any volunteer. And so
I read that in the rules,
yeah.
But again, I didn't see any observers.
Right. So those are the things that need to happen more.
A guy from one of the guys from District 5, and he said, well, no, we didn't even know what was going on. I'm like, what?
Oh, really? You mean one of the police officers?
Officers.
Huh. I know there's definitely a communication with the police
they
department.
couldn't possibly not know this was going on.
No, it may be that guy, maybe that one
He
officer.
didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that one officer didn't get the memo, but
Yeah, right.
You know, but I mean, I know for a fact that there's a communication that happens between the chief of police.
Oh, for sure.
And the organizers, and they actually
or they wouldn't be
help.
able to block off streets.
Exactly. But yeah, there may be, again, it might be something that's still not completely gelled as far as the organizing goes, and they maybe haven't gotten the message to all the cops in the district. And then the other thing, but I do think that might be the way, and this is, again, I don't know if how they've thought this through, but, you know, maybe what they need to do is bring the penalties much higher for any kind of infraction, you know, doing things that are inappropriate biking.
Right.
In terms of traffic.
In that vein, I would suggest more observers.
Yeah.
But
more volunteers.
You could have
observers.
You could have lawn chair observers.
Right.
It might be boring, but you sit on a lawn chair and take tallies.
Yeah, and exactly. And you drink a beer, listen to some music. Yeah,
and then I don't want to be a downer.
And you hand people a card, or you take their number and you say, "Look, you just committed a violation. You lose 2 laps. You know, you just lost 2 or 3 laps, or whatever it is, you know." And I bet that would have a huge effect on the way people behave in the street, especially the aggressive kind of the guys who are really out there for blood. You know, they really want to.
Oh, right. Yeah, it wasn't the mom with the baby in the trailer.
Right.
It wasn't the unicycle guy. It was the guys who were pumping it.
Right. It's the racers.
And I'm like, wow, dude, you know, 6 bikes come cruising around the front of my car. I'm at a stop sign. I'm like, which way do I look now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if one of you doesn't have a headlight?
Right.
I mean, I was pretty nervous as a commercial driver, but in summary, what I would say is just, I think this is a potential to be a great, long-lasting, super event.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it already is, and
with a little tweaking, this could be great.
Yeah, I think that those kinds of thoughts are definitely valuable, and I think that the people who are doing the race aren't interested in being, showing up the traffic or so. You know, they're not. It's not like a critical mass where the purpose is to make a statement against automobiles. It's
right. Yeah, right. That's
know.
not the point. That's what it felt like. It was like, whoa, what is this? Occupy Milwaukee? Hold on a minute. We're vehicles on
some
a
street. Some of that comes from other alley cat races. Which are a lot more aggressive and a lot more daring, and that's where this stems from, is an alley cat race, which is kind of like an impromptu race that would be like downtown or something with maybe 50 bikers. And those kinds of races are notorious for being really kind of anti-establishmentary in a way, and like they don't, people are willing to take really big risks. And but this is not, the idea is not to. I mean, most people driving around here, they might be driving a car because they got to go to work or something, but they might be as avid about biking as anyone else. Everyone ends up in a car at some point.
Right. It's totally enjoyable. I love biking, but I did not know that. I wasn't aware of alley cat type races. But,
that's what
I love the event. And again, I would just throw a few safety cautions in there and say that I was, as somebody who gets paid to drive for a living, and I spend most of my day twisting my neck back and forth and looking left and looking right, and
right.
Because if you, I was alarmed, and I thought, wait a minute here,
Yeah. If you're a good driver, what about that one driver who's
or
who's
the elderly driver, or the impaired driver,
or a hothead driver or something? Yeah.
Right, or the ones that don't give a crap. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And for example, the guy behind me, he's like, "What's the matter with you?" And I was like, "Hey, got to take it easy here." I was like, "I'm checking. Are there any more coming? I'm slowing down.
Yeah. And
the guy behind me was like, "Come on, get out of my way." I was like, "Nope."
Yeah, and I understand.
And
from
you get
both...
to Locust and Humboldt, and you're like, you look pretty carefully normally, but tonight you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Better look really careful because you don't know what's going to happen.
And then the thing is that, not to add to the sort of doom and gloom, but as a rider myself, because I've done it 3 years the first 3 years I did it, and I know that as you get deeper and deeper into the night, and you know, you've been doing it, you're careful, you try to be careful, but you're getting more and more physically exhausted. I mean, biking 24
Right.
hours is not, you know, so you're doing this 24
agree.
hours straight, and once in a while you're a little spacey, you know, you get spacey.
Right.
So you
Try
got a
that as a
combination.
driver, right?
You know?
12 hours, you know, right. You start to lose it a little bit. You lose your senses around you, and the safety level goes down. And then what about you know, at bar closing time? Hello.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's another good point. Yeah.
It's like,
But
wow.
I do
I
have
hope
to say,
everybody's careful because I don't want to see anything bad happen.
right. Well, it's gone 4 years and there hasn't been any major problem. So that's kind of a miracle. But maybe there is something to the way they do things that kind of works in favor of safety somehow. But
well, you know, when you go to the website, you read you know, what it's founded on. The basis is there. They're saying safety is number one. So
yeah.
you know,
No,
it's just a matter of tweaking it, I think, and it's a great race.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's
And
a great event.
I am glad that they added the dunce lap thing, because I think that's going to help a little bit. It's going to keep people, because especially those aggressive people who are trying to get laps. If you lose a whole lap because you were just too impatient, or you did something wrong in front of you rode in front of a car or whatever and caused them potentially cause an accident. I think that's going to really make a person think twice about acting that way, you know?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I like that. And coming down Humboldt, everybody was straight in line, you know. And the nice thing about Humboldt is, as, you know, vehicle drivers, we're pretty well used to bikes in the summer.
Yeah.
What I love about Milwaukee is, though, it could be the middle of the winter and they're still riding.
Right. Especially
like,
riverwest.
Get used to it. It's 20 below and he's riding a bicycle.
Right. I'm one of those people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, kudos. All right.
All right. Well, good talking to you. What's your name again?
Art.
Art. Thanks for calling in and
Great.
expressing your point of view on this whole thing.
Well, thanks for listening.
All right. Cool.
Have a good night.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
And that was Art from riverwest, giving his perspective as a driver about the safety issue, which I think is important. If you're listening, Gabe is coming up in a few minutes. We're going to do our movie review show, which we do every Friday night at 11 p.m. Tonight we're going to put a little bit of focus on bicycle movies, of course, and we also welcome any calls during that period of time and throughout the night. We're going to be broadcasting for the next 24, well, not maybe almost the next 24 hours. We'll try to go till 11 p.m. tomorrow, but we're definitely going to be broadcasting until 7 p.m. tomorrow. And coming up after us is going to be the Rabbi and Spider Mike. Some of you, many Riverwest people probably know the Rabbi because he's quite a known figure in our neighborhood. And they're going to go till, I believe it is till about 2 or 3 a.m. And then after that is Ian Powell, and it just keeps going until 7 p.m. tomorrow. So this is our own little challenge here at Riverwest Radio. The phone number for those of you who are watching us on the Riverwest 24 site is 935-2951. And if you didn't get that, if you forget our phone number, or if you want the phone number, you can go to our website, which is riverwestradio.com, and the phone number is always posted there. So, and here comes Armand Gonzalez, who's been out on the circuit. Armand has been part of the Riverwest 24 for years, and he can enlighten us to what's been going on out there in the world of the Riverwest 24. And after that, we'll get into our movie review, right, Gabe?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Armand, go ahead and grab that mic. Tell us what's been going on.
Well, I haven't really gotten a chance to run the course yet. I'm on a team.
What's the name of your team?
It's team number 3. I believe it's a Milwaukee Bike Polo Club team.
Are you
Club
okay?
team.
Do you know what the difference between a team,
Club
a
team.
B team, and an A team? What's the difference?
Oh, the A team uses the same bike. B team can use as many bikes as they have riders.
And does that make a huge difference in terms of the advantage of the race?
Have you ever played with a baton?
Played with a baton?
Yeah, like ran track with a baton.
Oh yeah. You drop the baton or
Well,
the bike? Oh, because the bike gets more beat up, or just because
it's like a baton, where opposed to other people just trade off the sheet. They have to get punched.
So you guys, Milwaukee Bike Polo is tied for first with Poisonous, Scorpion, Razor Blades, and Fuego. But the interesting thing is you are not the first. Okay, I kind of understand. So Milwaukee Bike Polo has 12 laps, but 2 bonus laps right now. So you're at 14.
We're going to hit all the bonuses.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Yeah. The next bonus right now is called Your Best That's All Week. It's at 2325 North Richard Street. And that bonus checkpoint is going to close at 11 p.m. Oh, it already closed. So that's the second one.
What stop was that?
2325 North Richards.
Oh, okay.
So the next one is Rough Crowd, which is 10 till midnight. So that one closes in an hour, and that's
I have some,
that's right here. That's right near here.
I have a little,
815 East Locust. It must be across the street or something. We're 824, so it's right across the street somewhere. It's right here, Armand, on this piece of paper.
I know.
Let me just ask. Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, okay. So A team. I was assuming an A team would be a better team, but it looks like actually an A team has more of a handicap than a B team, right? Like a B team might do better.
You know where's that?
Escuela Fratney school. I think that's that school right here. That's up the street from Stonefly. That's yeah. But you guys you've gotten two sets of bonus points. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. No, your second set of bonus points hasn't come up yet. There's 21 bonus points, 21 bonus checkpoints, which is like almost 1 an hour. That's really hard to do while you're doing laps. And we're seeing Eric, a friend of mine.
Do you know where this one is?
833 East Burleigh. And that would be the 4 to 6 a.m. What hours are you going to be biking, Armand?
I'm going from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. hammering it.
Wow. How many miles an hour do you average when you're on this course?
I'm not going to say the greats don't keep track.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you, I don't keep track.
Right now, actually, I'm going to refresh this and see if it's changed at all. Just talking about solos for a second, since I was a soloist once.
What movie are you reviewing?
Well, we're going to talk about bike movies, and Gabe's going to do the movie review or he's going to do the movie news in a minute. But it's kind of an unorthodox, not a typical show for us. We normally don't do.
Radio show is 24 hours.
Yeah, we normally spend a lot of time preparing our movie review show, and today is one.
Don't be modest. Don't be modest.
Well, I know that actually, to be honest, Gabe spent a good amount of time preparing his movie news report, but we didn't spend a lot of time watching movies, and usually we watch 2 or 3 movies in a week.
Usually we're very, very studious about seeing a current release, a new release, something that's very mainstream and in pop culture. Like last week we saw The Dark Knight Rises because it's the big film of the week, and also seeing a lesser release, a smaller release. So that's usually what we do. Bye. Thank you for stopping by and chatting with us about
Yeah.
the 24-hour bike race. So
Yeah.
we are going to go into our show, Gabe and Zav's film review show, aptly titled "My Dinner with Gabe." My dinner with Zav. Hey,
And
Zav.
I'm actually eating dinner.
Oh my God,
As
we're
we
eating
do it.
dinner. That means it's my dinner with Gabe. This is amazing. This has never happened before. July 27th, your news, your movie news for another episode. The Saturn Awards happened. How about that? That is the awards for the Academy of Science Fiction and Fantasy and Horror. They're awesome awards. The Academy for Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror is a pretty cool institute. It's led by it's partnered by a lot of interesting, thoughtful people who want to give integrity to science fiction literature and filmmaking. Science fiction literature, which I find often prophetic and usually history in the making often, and fantasy, which I find very interesting and otherworldly, and sometimes the most bold and underappreciated pop culture and or materials that are being put out by anyone or anywhere. And horror, which we've done a horror show before, and I love horror. I know Zav likes the more interesting, more cerebral aspects of a certain few of some horror films that can be different or add elements to filmmaking that maybe had otherwise been neglected in some ways, like Roman Polanski and a couple other filmmakers. Regardless, Saturn Awards. Rise of the Planet of the Apes won Science Fiction Film of the Year and Best Supporting Actor for Andy Serkis, the well-known green screen actor who had been in the the Lord of the Rings films and is a just an incredible presence before the green screen manipulation of him. His body language is his performance. It's pretty cool. He won for the performance in Rise of the Planet of the Apes as Caesar,
Oh, yeah,
the character of the ape, which I found actually very quite amazing. I thought it was actually considering it was a mainstream release, is a pretty unorthodox film, and actually pretty bold, a pretty bold statement about culture and about humankind, and about the decisions we make and what our effects on other societies, other cultures that we may not even be aware of are. Most of the film didn't even, a large portion of the film had no human characters and did not have dialogue as we are used to it. It was pretty interesting. Super 8 won Best Director. I am wondering why. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 won Best Fantasy Feature. And that is the majority. Those are the big headlines. Clint Eastwood is returning to the screen as just an actor, but his friend Robert Loraz is pretty much every film that he's directed or been in or been a part of for the last 15 years. Robert Loraz has been his side companion, has been his producing partner, has been his first assistant director, oftentimes doing 2 or more roles on the set of the film, executive producer and first assistant director, main assistant director, et cetera, et cetera. This guy's been a big part of the behind-the-scenes aspect of Clint Eastwood's filmmaking. He's getting behind the camera, and he's directing. And Clint Eastwood said, well, I guess maybe I don't have to direct the movie, just act in it. Maybe I'll go get some groceries. And he's in a movie called The Trouble with Curve, which is about an aging baseball scout, Clint Eastwood. And there's a lot of gimmicks, a lot of cliches, but this could be a good movie. Who knows? It's about an aging baseball scout whose vision starts to wane, and amid the world of new forms of scouting and sort of this youthful and new ideas, new forms of scouting, new ways of looking at things, computerizing and mathematizing everything and looking at new theorems for everything. He's a guy who goes on simply on viewing raw talent and seeing and having an intuition and a gut feeling about players. But because his vision is fading, where does that intuition come from? Where does he base it on? Amy Adams, Amy Adams, so beautiful, so awesome, is his daughter who goes on the road with him to become his eyes. And, there's probably some estrangement and some typical issues of father meets daughter, father finds himself, and Justin Timberlake is also in the film as a younger scout who scouts with a very different means, similar to the Moneyball idea of scouting. But he was once a baseball star whom Eastwood recruited. Bam. Bam. Sounds like drama. Bam. Some action. Bam. Some baseball. Bam. The box office for last week, I have nothing to report. I'm not even going to give you your numbers. Dark Knight came out. What more do you really need to know? I'm sorry. Yeah. This movie had very similar numbers to Dark Knight, 100-plus range. This movie is just going to stomp. It's going to stomp. It's going to crush. Right. It's going to kill. He's wearing a cape. You're going to go see it. If you didn't see it, you're going to go see it. If you already saw it, you might go see it again. Who knows?
And if you didn't know anything about it, it's all over the headlines and the news as well.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So this movie is ubiquitous. I'm not going to spend any time on box office news. Besides that movie is crushing it. Spider-Man's still crushing it. Brave is still doing a good job. And and Ted is the sleeper hit of the year. This movie is just cruising along. It's 4th place this week with $10 million. I mean, it is just, this movie is not going away.
Okay, so what is Ted all
Ted
about?
is the Seth MacFarlane film with, Seth MacFarlane is the Family Guy creator. It's the guy with the teddy bear that comes to life based on a childhood wish. It's the stoner comedy with some heart. I think. Remember, I talked about this for like 10 minutes a week. I think the reason this film has such enduring appeal is its word of mouth has been good among men and women. And what I've been reading about is that it is. Cinema score is incredible, and its longevity can be attributed to the fact that women are touched by its raunchy humor, and they're sort of like, oh, but it is so cute. Women do love, have just as much of an appetite, if not more, for dirty, filthy, raunchy humor, as much as men, if not more. And I think Ted appeases both sides because it has a strong female lead. Mila Kunis, some people might not call her a strong female lead, but she has a presence on film and in television. I find her incredibly likable, even in bad films. Incredibly watchable. She's really cute too. Mark Wahlberg is a likable actor. He's a likable presence. He's become a staple of mainstream cinema in America. He's an American actor. Very watchable, very likable. It's a cute. Here's the thing. It's a cute concept. It's a great idea. I just wish that Seth MacFarlane wasn't the damn guy directing the film. I really wish that he wasn't doing the voice of Ted the bear too. I really would love to see this movie. The idea is brilliant if Seth MacFarlane weren't directing it. Which almost is kind of why I don't want to see it, because I think the idea is so cute and it's such a refreshing idea in and of itself that I like the idea. I like the film as long as I don't go see it. As long as it doesn't add one more negative
It's an interesting thing to review a movie that you've never seen.
I'm not going to review it is the thing. Okay. That's what I mean.
But I understand the idea of having an opinion about it beforehand. But it's also one of those things that maybe the way we should watch movies is to have no opinion about them beforehand.
I completely agree. I think we should. But with this one, I think I want to actually leave with a fuzzy feeling. And I think the only way it's going to happen with that is not seeing it. So I think
you might be pleasantly surprised.
I'm going to watch it with my girlfriend when it comes on video.
We're not going to watch it together, you and me?
I don't want to see this in the theater. I'm not. I want when we go to the theater, I want to see something that's bam, brand new, bam, just come out.
We could watch it together at home.
Oh, we could snuggle and make some popcorn together. Yeah. We could set the store on fire and say it's a fireplace.
No, there's been too much of that on this street.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So that is your box office news. That's a pretty. I guess we're gonna call it this week the Undisciplined Show. That's literally what I'm rolling with. Because it's not that we're undisciplined, but we're just doing things a little bit different this week. And I don't know. I'm doing it with a smile and a sense of humor. So, bam, that's your box office news. I'm not reading you any numbers.
Right.
In terms of releases for July 27th.
Oh, wait. Here goes a unicycle person. Wow.
Wow, that's neat.
So these unicyclists who maybe the people listening to this are probably more privy to this than we are, but they have a special kind of unicycle. I've never seen that before. The wheel was extra big, and that makes a lot of sense. The smaller the wheel is, the
harder it is.
Difficult it would be. So.
Okay. Opening July 27th. Here you go. Killer Joe, which is a film that I've been hesitant about. I love the idea. I love everything about the technical aspects of what's been surrounding some of the initial content of this film. The fact that, William Friedkin's directing it. He is not always a great director, but he has a knack for artistically and sort of he is really brash about just showing like really over the top, really violent images amid a film that sometimes has a really beautiful narrative loop. He's the director of The Exorcist, and also is the person who helmed that incredible look behind The French Connection. However, since then, he hasn't had a hit. It's been notorious that he has been hitless ever since. He was dating the head of Columbia Pictures for a while, who gave him a string of movies to direct, and he was involved in that infamous Joe Esterhaas scandal where he had 2 movies that came out within the same week, and they both bombed at the same time, Jade and Showgirls. He was the director of Jade, which is just one of the most shockingly weird, over-the-top, violent romantic thrillers to ever come out. Friedkin really has a knack for aggressively close-up showing violence, and this movie is no exception. There's teenagers, there's drugs, but let me explain the teenagers and the drugs. The main character is a drug dealer. His mom steals all his drugs because she sucks. He owes someone $6,000, and they're going to kill him if he can't pay them back because he's already in trouble. Goes to his dad and says, "Dad, what are we going to do? I'm going to die." And he goes, "Why don't we kill Mom? She's got a huge insurance policy out on her." They both realize that no one likes their mom. They don't love their mom. So this is already a little bit different of an approach to this film, in that it's shot very much like a Hollywood film. It's not some stringy, half-made, low-budget film. It's a Hollywood film for the most part. And they go to a hitman, Killer Joe, who's played with great Southern gentlemanly charisma and charm by Matthew McConaughey. And I guess he is just sweeping and crooning great. If you like Matthew McConaughey when he is good, when he has a role that he can flex his intelligence,
yes,
he is a presence. I loved Matthew McConaughey in The Lincoln Lawyer. I really want to see Magic Mike because I've heard his performance is incredible. He's the best part of Magic Mike from what I've been hearing. And I've heard that he is possibly the only reason to go see this movie, that he is just so watchable. However, everything else to finish up the summary of the plot, they don't have the upfront fee to pay him to kill this woman, his mother. So they have to turn in his sister as sexual collateral in case something doesn't go right. So it's just this very disgusting, very offensive, very in-your-face movie with over-the-top violence, sadism, and visuals. However, this is what I've been reading from the reviews. Light on storytelling, high on pointless close-ups, of depravity, of just awful things happening for sheer shock value that no one should be, that most normal people would never expose themselves to. And these are things that even people who long and love disgusting things would be a little, I wouldn't say offended by, but shocked by.
Right.
McConaughey gives a great performance, but otherwise a look at how to do Tarantino artlessly, shock-filled, and without depth or poignance or meaning. So that is Killer Joe. I'm still going to see this one when it comes out just to see it.
Can I see that one with you?
We can snuggle and watch that movie together.
Okay.
The Watch, which I haven't known what this is about other than that I've seen an ugly close-up of Ben Stiller's face on numerous upcoming release lists on 4 or 5 different websites. What I found out it's about, very, very sadly, 4 guys, Ben Stiller, Jonah Hill, Vince Vaughn, and some comedy fun guy who I am just going to call comedy fun guy because that's what he is, are bored, and they're bored in their suburban lives with their suburban women and their suburban things and their suburban jokes. They get together because they're a bunch of bros, and they have this watch group. That's what the Watch stands for. They're ready to protect their neighborhood because they're such bro-y dudes that throw down if someone tries to screw with stuff. Turns out that there's aliens in their suburban neighborhood that have been posing as people, and they're going to invade the rest of the world. And it just so happens that this invasion is starting in their town. This is a stupid concept, but if it were done really well, really intelligently, and had some sort of a great knack for consistent, funny humor that didn't take itself too serious, this could have been a great film. It's not. I've been reading 1-star reviews about this movie over and over. They don't even the critics don't have anything original to say about this movie because they're like, this movie is so unoriginal in its stupidity, it doesn't even deserve our time. It doesn't deserve the time that you are taking to read the review. It doesn't deserve the time that I'm giving out of breath to rant about how none of us should go see this movie. I'm not being a dick by saying that this movie's going to suck. I'm sorry. I'm not. There's penis jokes everywhere. It's sex obsessed. It's unfunny, uneven, incoherent, unsupervised. I've heard that the filmmaking isn't even coherent by second-year film school standards. Crap.
Okay.
Another movie, Step Up Revolution in the Step Up series by Summit Entertainment. There's films where people dance and do things, and there's a story, and there's a man and a woman. It's what happens every friggin' week. Part 4 in the series. There's dancing. There's wooden acting. What do you expect? If you want to see this, this is what you're going to get. Go see it. Whatever. Ai Weiwei, the controversial, famous Chinese artist and political activist, has a film that IFC Films is releasing about him that has been getting phenomenal reviews, great reviews. However, the only complaint that I've been reading about in it, and one thing that they say holds the film back, is that it is too political and it doesn't focus on his art, which is his means of being political. It looks at the man behind the art, but you don't understand where his fame comes from, where his importance come from, other than that this is a man with opinions and ideas. The opinions and the ideas are great, but the focus on where it's been and where it's gone and how it's affected and how it's come into the limelight isn't present. So it's fluid, it's fresh, it's up close. It's a look at an activist, an artist, a political center point, an outspoken warrior. It shows the mind of a man behind all the obsessions. And it's a really clean, focused movie. And it also shows the man as a mischievous, outspoken absurdist, and a brilliant man, a brilliant, aware man of our times. I really want to see this movie, and I want to see this movie. What's up?
Okay, when is that one coming out?
It came out today.
It came out today in theaters?
Came out today. So it might. I don't know if it's out at the Downer or the Oriental yet, because I was just checking this up.
Yeah.
But if it is, I really want to see this with you, because I think it's a movie that both of us would really enjoy for many reasons.
Yeah.
So I think we should go see this. I've heard the filmmaking, and another statement that I've been reading about this in 2 or 3 reviews. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly, one of my 2 favorite critics, the other one being Lisa Schwartzbaum, who's also an Entertainment Weekly critic, states that because of the newfound ease and the accessibility of a lot of this digital filmmaking, and the fact that some of the equipment is smaller, it's more accessible, and you can film more without having to load film, without having to deal with film, that you can look at your materials. There's a lot of really candid, really beautiful, and really day-to-day stuff that's shown in this film that maybe if this had been shot on film, it wouldn't have been captured, and there wouldn't have been as many small moments. And so there's something to be said about the fact that this is. One critic said that this is truly a mark, not a milestone, but this is truly like the essence of the modern digital documentary. So I think that's interesting. That's another reason why I want to see it.
That is interesting. I'll be interested in seeing. I mean, absolutely. Right now, we see the advances in. I mean, you were showing your camera earlier tonight. That even just a camera that you can buy at a regular store nowadays will have images on it.
They're stark.
Wow. Oh. No, I'm sorry. I'm seeing something out the window, and I didn't completely understand it. It's a drummer sitting on the front of a car, and the car is driving down an alley with a guy with a drum on it. No, just that this is something, and we can discuss this further when we get to see the film, but that cameras are just really beginning to take incredible pictures, and I know this from just my own point-and-shoot camera. I'm taking pictures that I never dreamed of doing with much more high quality, or at the time, top-of-the-line cameras back in the a decade ago.
I also want to add that this is another film that did for the sudden ease of the digital filmmaking. Can you look up Agnes Varda's filmography?
Sure. What's the title? I mean,
It's from 2001.
Oh, okay. What do you remember? What it was about?
Agnes Varda. It's a road film. She just goes on the road with her digital camera.
Vagabond?
No, that's from '85, and that's a fiction film.
Oh, okay.
It's from 2001, and it's a documentary. Let me see your filmography.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Agnes Varda. Oh, it's not The Beaches of Agnes. 2001. 2001.
Let me see.
In the meantime, The Gleaners and I.
It's Anne the Gleaners and I, which was a film that really, she went on the road with a camera, and she's just shooting things very candidly and very matter-of-factly, and she's aged a lot since she came to prominence in the late 60s, and she's kind of reflecting on life, and she's just shooting things almost like how like anyone would shoot a movie with any digital camera, but it just shows really like the beauty of her eye and she's who she kind of reminds me of is Harmony Korine. She shoots these really ordinary things that are everywhere in our world, but she just has this eye, and it comes through with her images, with her simple images on simple technology, and she has this moment where she's just playing with the digital technology. There's a scene where she's driving, and I mean it's a dangerous scene, but she's driving, and there's a semi truck to the front of the right of her, and she's going, oh, and she's trying to catch it in her hand while looking at the viewfinder of it. And something about the idea of this movie and how it plays the digital technology seems to remind me of how that movie was not only a great film and a great work of filmmaking, but also a film in the milestone of digital of the new digital age. And and this is 11 years later, which is interesting too, because when that was all going on in 99, 2000, 2001, when things really were switching and they were new, and every day it seemed like things were new. Things were changing every day, and there was like a shift, and there was this there were articles all over the place, and then all of a sudden film schools were switching, and then formats, and people were like, no, I'm sticking with the old. I'm not going to go with the new. Scorsese and Spielberg seemingly have something new to say about this stuff every day. Anyway, I guess a little side note there. I'm sorry, but I feel it's important.
No, that's interesting.
Scorsese and Spielberg are two of the only filmmakers who are. I mean, and they're kind of like the antithesis of this. Soderbergh stands for so much. I mean, that's a whole show right there. But Soderbergh has adamantly gone digital. Adamantly gone towards the other side, that he loves shooting on film, he loves it. He says like privately he shoots on film, but he likes to process. He's all about post-production, and he loves the digital flat image. He loves the crispness of it, the immediacy of it. He loves the way that it captures the emptiness of things, but also therein the beauty of things. He loves staging things beautifully and then tooling with them later, and they creates this. Whereas Spielberg and Scorsese are very adamant about no, shoot on film. You should always shoot on film. That's the essence of what film is. That's the essence of film making. And what's really strange is that here are these two guys who use digital trickery almost more than anyone I can think of. I mean, Scorsese with Hugo, and Spielberg just with Spielbergisms, and he and Lucas not being able to stop touching their already good movies and digitizing them more and more. So I just find this film and digital argument is very strange. It's changing, and it's still here.
Yeah, and then also you would find in the experimental film world, there's a kind of a digital versus film. I always call them film purists, people who are just... They refuse to, and I shouldn't talk I shouldn't say this in a disparaging way, because there is truth to it. There's some truth to the experience you have with film stock, and it is a much more immediate medium. It's not something that's going through all kinds. You don't go through capacitors and all kinds of.
What words would you use to describe the experience of handling and processing film? Adjectives, I guess, or verbs that you would find very precise and to the point. Well, in your experience,
it's a more tactile medium. It's something that you load into a camera in the dark, and then you shoot through. You put it in a mechanism.
Would you say
that was invented at the turn of the century?
Would you say there's something
hasn't changed? It has very little about it has changed since the turn of the century.
So a little timeless.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's simple. It's a simple formula. It's a formula that has not. Once it was stumbled upon, that formula did not need to be improved upon until
100 years later, almost. Wow.
And still to this day, video still is trying to more than 100 years, right? We're talking We're talking about the late 1800s.
1889. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So about 110 years later. But I'm saying I'm saying
120 or 30.
I'm saying when the digital revolution started, not when video started. I'm saying when this
to this day,
no, because video was around in the 40s and 50s even, and then
that's true. That's true. It was very inaccessible.
It was very complicated, which is strange.
Pike, who's sort of one of the most predominant or most known video artists had. Oh wow, I haven't seen that person in a long time. One of the most predominant artists in the video art world was one of the first people to use a Portapack, which was where they had a camcorder. You would see news reporters with this, a camcorder that they would hold on their shoulder, and then a recorder that you carry on your side.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
And he was the first video artist to use that
Sure.
device. And he, what?
Can we go over
Go over? What do you mean go over?
our time limit, or is it going to end automatically?
Oh, well, we can go till 12. Well, yeah, we can go over. It doesn't matter. I mean,
But it'll keep recording.
I think so. I'm not sure. What are you
I just
thinking?
want to keep going.
But we're going till midnight, right?
Yeah. At
Oh,
least
okay,
I'm saying
okay.
if
Oh,
we
yeah,
have
yeah.
to go over.
I mean, if we go over, we go over.
no, I want to. I'm saying
Yeah.
in case. Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. The camera setup, and you can't see this, Gabe, but the camera setup has changed a lot. I'm not sure I like the new camera setup.
Let me see it.
Oh, there's John Dean. It's just, it was better before. You could actually see the
Just
bikers,
a little bit more.
but it seems as though they've,
Can you turn it just a little bit more?
yeah. You can see that the bikers, and this is a good example of technology. Just this Ustream is
Am
amazing.
I in the image? I can't even tell. I can't see.
Oh no, this is at the starting
Oh,
line.
that's
This is
it.
at the
Oh,
start
I
finish
see. I
line.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's still of the riverwest 24.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay.
In fact, yeah, I haven't even looked at that camera shot. That camera shot is just.
So what's kind of interesting is that.
By the way, if you're tuning in right now on the riverwest 24 site, we're talking about movies, but we're also going to talk about the bike race or bike related things in a minute as soon as our guest comes, and he is going to talk about bike and movies. And I feel embarrassed to say I kind of forgot his name at the moment, but I have it in my email. But that's I'm very sorry that I forgot your name. I don't even know if we've ever met though. So we will introduce ourselves in a minute if he remembers to come. I have a feeling he might have forgotten because it is 11:30 now. So.
I do like where this show is going. In case anyone's wondering, this is. Saying again, this is Gabe and Zav's film review show.
And it's happening during the Riverwest 24 bike race. So if you're listening to this, out of time on a different day, the reason why we're sort of disorganized is because we're kind of keeping an open format so we can talk about the bike race.
The Riverwest 24, in case anyone who's listening who doesn't know what the Riverwest 24 is, any friends of mine, any family members of mine, anyone listening overseas or anything like that, the Riverwest 24 is...
Oh, the Riverwest 24 is a bike race that happens every year in Riverwest. This is a 5th year. And what it is a 24-hour bike race. It starts at 7 p.m. on Friday night, and it ends at 7 p.m. on Saturday, July 28th. And right now we're in the 4th hour of the race. So there's still about 23 and a half hours left. And we are...
23?
Yeah, it's because it's 4:30. It's 4.5 hours.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Anyway, it's a race, but it's not just like a muscle like super biker race. It's a community race. Most people are not trained athletes. It's just people of the Riverwest community who all bike for 24 hours, and they basically. Have 21 bonus checkpoints that they have to hit. So there's kind of a scavenger hunt aspect to the bike race, which again kind of helps mitigate those people who are just in it for like the pure athletic aspect of the competition. So in addition to going to 21 different checkpoints throughout the race, what they do is a 1 mile loop, and during that approximately 5 mile loop, and during that 5 mile loop, they have to get their manifest punched 4 different times. So you're getting your manifest punched about 4 different times, and then you have to do 21 checkpoints, and there's a new checkpoint just about every hour, obviously. It's spread out that way. And right now, I'll just tell you like the top... I'll look at the overall scores right now. We're a little over 4.5 hours into the race, and the team that's got the most laps, it looks like, is 14 laps. So 14 times 5, so that's 70 miles of biking. They've biked 70 miles. So that's almost the distance from Milwaukee to Madison, from downtown Milwaukee to downtown Madison, that they've done in 4.5 hours. And just think, how long does that take to drive? It takes about almost 2 hours to drive. So they're going quite fast.
So one thing I also wanted to add was that going into this, we were thinking about going. We were thinking about reviewing bike movies and talking about bike. You know, for the first half of the show or for the second half, talking about bikes and films and like, you know, stuff like that and any prominent bike movies.
Yeah, and we have our bike in movie.
And we've seen.
Oh, is that door locked?
Is
that door locked?
And we've seen a couple of bike films, but
we kind of went over our bike films, and we sort of realized that there's not that many that we're really that fond of that we feel like we really feel desperately we need to talk about. Oh no, don't lock it. That's fine. People are going to want to come in and out. And so we kind of. So we didn't do a very.
Just decide. Well, it's not that we did.
Movies in
it's
general,
not that we didn't do a bad job, but what we just did, I didn't even realize we were doing it. Was exactly what I was like, really, really wanting to have be the part of our show. I was like, Zav, we went into this show. We started doing this show to have conversations about movies on the air, like what the dialogues that we used to have, where you would stand behind the counter and I would be in front of the counter, and we would. All of a sudden, 3 hours would go by sometimes. And, you know, we wouldn't always talk about movies that both of us had seen or, you know, but just these long conversations about so many topics of film and so many wide-ranging ideas and about filmmaking, film watching, and about filmmakers. And without even realizing it, look at how many filmmakers and film topics, I mean, we just went over.
We can blab about film.
I love it is what I'm saying. So,
okay, so we have our guest in the studio. If you could introduce yourself.
Hey, this is Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Is this on?
Yes, you're on.
Levels are good?
We're good.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
What's your last name, Jake?
Jake Newborn.
Newborn. I was going to say Newborn. I'm Zav.
My name's Gabe.
I've seen you before, but I've never been formally introduced, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe once in here before. I used to live with Armand, so I would.
Oh, yeah. But you must not have been around much, because I remember other roommates, but I don't remember you there that much.
Right.
Yeah.
I got my own thing going on a lot of the time.
So are you on a team right now?
I am on a team. I'm on a break. My teammates are still racing.
What's your team?
MKE Bike Polo.
Oh, so you guys are doing pretty good up there.
We're doing pretty
you
good.
Got 14 laps, and you're
good.
Are
okay.
you?
That's update to me. That's news. All right.
Yeah, you got 14 laps, and you're an A team.
Yep.
And you got 4 bonus points.
Good.
You should have 6 soon.
Those are the bonus points are lagging a little bit. Yeah, I know we hit the last one.
The third one.
But it'll take a minute for that to close and then get reported.
So your team right now is at the top by 1 point. By one lap.
By one lap,
which is quite a bit.
Which is big over 24 hours.
Yeah.
We hope to keep that gap growing.
Right.
The team that is behind us is that the Poisonous Snakes and Fuego or something?
Yeah. No, it's
they have a really funny
Borg Ward Berserkers, but
okay,
that's in the Team A category. Let me see in the team. Let me see overall.
Well, Team B, I'm not concerned about.
Okay,
honestly, our competition is with
Poisonous
Team A.
Scorpion has. Oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. The weight. Yeah,
Click on the A.
Poisonous
Click
Scorpion is not getting their bonus laps.
Uh-oh.
Coming in.
They haven't been reported, or they haven't done them. We don't know yet.
Well, they've only got 2 bonus laps. They should have 4 to 6.
Okay.
So my
maybe
guess
they missed
is
one.
They might have missed one. But
that reason we're up a lap on them is pole position. You know, we were position number 3. They were what, 246?
Yes.
And I did my
so that's
and I
about
started.
A half an hour.
I started the race and I did the first lap in 15:30.
Wow.
And so
That's
by the
very
time I was
fast,
getting back,
because I know I've done the first lap in 18, and I purposely try to go not too hard.
Right.
But
when you're doing solo, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to burn out,
Right.
but yeah, 15. That's really fast. Well, how many miles per hour? Well, that's 5. What is that?
Oh, I don't know. 4.8. That's too much math.
Yeah.
15 and a half minutes and 4.8 miles. So with checkpoint, you know, with getting your thing stamped.
It's 4.8 miles. It's not 5 miles.
If you take the suggested route, which I mostly was.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't take the suggested route?
Some people prefer not taking the beer line because it can get a little crowded and curvy and So they like to stay on the street.
Oh yeah, I've noticed people doing that.
And then the coming into checkpoint 3,
yeah,
people will take water, take Humboldt further down to water and come around, or they take the trail through the Kilbourne Park.
Right.
Or you can cut down north and come back there. I mean, there's a couple ways to approach checkpoint 3.
Yeah. The only diversion I've ever done on this route is to carry my bike up the stairs.
Right, up the stairs, or take Holton.
I
or
never
take
have
the
done
cut
that.
back.
Yeah, and the only reason I would do that is so I could get off my bike for a couple minutes and just use my legs in a different way for a little bit.
I tried that the second year.
Yeah.
My team told me that it saves 30 seconds a lap. So we figured 30 seconds over 24 hours, 70-some laps.
Yeah.
Hey, that's 2 or 3 laps.
Right.
Absolutely.
But what was happening to me was because I was using those different muscles, I feel like I started cramping up. And,
oh, I see.
And they weren't. So I chose to. Then my strategy from then on was staying on the bike when you're doing your shift.
Yeah.
Solo is a little different. It gives you that rest. It gives you that break. But
Well,
on the team,
yeah.
when you're going
But
as
let's
hard as
look,
you can.
I mean, look at Trevor Tim. He's
been crushing. He
he's
passed
at
me on the second
13
lap.
laps right now.
He passed me on the second lap.
He's at 13 laps. You guys are at 14.
Yep.
That is just that's incredible.
He's crushing it out there. I wonder.
I hope he can keep it up.
I hope he can keep it up. Right.
This is his fourth year, I think.
Okay.
He might be his 5th year. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
He's not. I don't think he's burning himself out.
Right.
Foolishly. He's
Yet
just
to
a
be
very
seen.
strong biker.
He is
Yeah.
very strong.
But yeah, it is to be seen. It's very early on right now. So, do you mind if we shift gears to talking about the bike and movie experience?
That's why I'm here.
All right, cool. So Jake, tell us a little bit about bike and movies. How did you
need
get
some history?
Yeah, give us a little background on the whole thing, and maybe explain to people what it is.
Well, I know that Shay Shackmeyer had been doing it through the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin, which is our statewide nonprofit advocacy and education organization, who I am employed by currently.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun thing to just bring more bicyclists together, just a social bike event, once a month.
Right.
Started out really small, heavy focus, like I heard you guys saying as I was coming talking about bike movies, movies with bikes in them. And so we were showing a lot of those artsy movies, DIY movies in the early years. And it was just a fun little event. It wasn't really getting too big. It wasn't, I felt it was, so anyway, I mean, not to downplay, because it's always been a lot of fun.
And where do these take place? Are they
under
usually
the Holton Street Viaduct and the marsupial
so basically
bridge
checkpoint 3 right now.
Yep.
So
checkpoint
the
3.
marsupial bridge right where Brady Street and Water kind of meet a little bit. Maybe I'm describing it wrong. But right near
under the bridge.
Yeah, Trocadero is right
across
near
from Trocadero,
yeah,
which is one of our
kitty corner from
sponsors of the
Trocadero.
Bike and Movie.
Oh, they are
Our primary sponsor,
okay.
yeah.
Ah, I see.
So yeah, so thanks Trocadero.
Yeah.
So some specific titles maybe that we could elaborate on or talk about?
Well, I could tell you the schedule for the rest of this year.
Yeah. What are the films? And when? What? And
so when? Okay, so it's, I think this year it's third Fridays. Oh, you want to double check me? But the next one is August 17th.
Okay.
And we'll be showing Top Gun. And then after that is September 21st, and that's Cecil B. Demented.
Okay.
And then October something, I don't remember the date. Third.
Well, it looks like it's the 3rd, so it would be the 3rd Friday. Is that what you said?
Right.
3rd Friday. So the 3rd Friday would be the 21st of September, then October 19th.
Okay, October 19th is The Lost Boys.
Oh, okay.
And then this year we started with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then last week we did something new, which was really exciting. Was we did a Kill Bill double feature. We showed the 1 and 2, which we'd never really done before.
That's a lot of film viewing.
4.5 hours of bike and movie. It went really well though. People stuck around. Some people came for the first one, left. Some people came for the second one. Some people stayed to watch both.
Yeah. What do you think is the? I
experiment.
mean, if you went back into the 1970s, I don't think there were any bike-in movies.
Drive-ins probably was big thing then.
Drive-in movies, yeah.
I mean, that was the big thing then.
Yeah.
Just, I mean,
what do you think? I mean, I'm actually, it's kind of a leading question. I actually think that probably part of it is the accessibilities of movies, of course,
Right.
on DVD, being able to get almost anything, especially
Yeah, you don't have to lug
using
the
the
reel to
internet.
reel out there.
Right, and or you don't have to bring out a movie projector itself and get a film mailed to you through the mail. The fact that you can like get a projector and just kind of plug it into an extension cord has created this phenomenon that we've been seeing probably in the last 15 years or so, where people just do a lot of outdoor movie screenings. But it's an interesting concept to somehow relate it to bike-in. And I guess maybe it is sort of an antidote to the idea of drive-in.
And it goes back to the idea is what it started was is just a social gathering, and that's what it's continued to be. I don't know if we weren't trying to replace drive-in movies. We weren't like, oh, we really miss.
Well, let me ask you this:
do you think there's something to be said about watching a movie outside?
Yeah,
and
that's really
bringing
true.
your own stuff and
the outdoors,
experience, and the ambiance. I mean, a quick example here is we played Rad summers ago.
That's exactly what I was going to ask about. I was going to actually ask you about movies with bikes in them.
I'll lead into it with this story then. Is we played Rad about 2 summers ago. We've played it I think a couple times over the 6 or 7 years that it's been going. The movie series has been going on. But this particular one, there was a storm, like a thunderstorm happening above us, outside of us, and it was coming in, and you could see lightning and hear the thunder, and it hadn't quite started raining.
Right.
But during the song to Rad, I don't know if how familiar you are, but there's like the theme song is like, your heart is like thunder, like something's like lightning, and it's like, and it's boom, boom everywhere, and the song's going off, and it was
Sounds
really
pretty friggin' rad.
I mean, so that's something
an
to be said.
outdoor-
That's an outdoor experience.
Right,
Wow.
right. Only in the outdoor cinema would you.
Well,
have
and that's almost like live theater right there. Like how the Shakespearean
planned
Company, how the Wisconsin Shakespeare Theater, how they do. Shakespeare plays outside in this outdoor theater, and they do it sometimes at Alpine Valley on that area. But because they do it outdoors, sometimes they do it rain or shine, and depending on what the elements are that interact with it, they sometimes interact with like if birds come on the stage or if like squirrels. I mean you don't screw with Shakespeare, but they'll like throw a line in or two, or they'll like interact with the audience like how the original plays were, but they interact with the environments based on how it happens. I mean, just like how it was performed hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Right.
That just sounds pretty rad.
And then the other thing, well, what I'm thinking of also is just this idea that this culture is a lot about being couch potatoes and getting people outside to do the couch, the thing of watching a movie.
Exercise.
Yeah,
movie,
and
right.
also the interactiveness of it, because the other way in which our culture has kind of gone down a dark road is in the fact that in the way in which we tend to all live in these isolated boxes and we're just looking at our cell phones and we're looking at our laptops like I'm doing right now, and we go home and watch a
And then we
screen
interact with
like
on a
with one
screen.
partner or something, and we all just live in these isolated lives, and there's something nice about watching a movie together with a group of people. And as a matter of fact, right across the street,
A jackpot.
Andrew Swant and his friend are doing a
Effed up movie series.
midnight movie series, and they're showing
Enter the Void tonight.
Enter the Void tonight.
They showed The Holy Mountain last week, and he is coming on the show next week with Bobby Ciraldo to talk about several things, their collaborative process, but their movie series over there being one of them. That'll be awesome. So, I'm wondering what's your opinion, if you have one, if you'd like to elaborate on bike films. I mean, there's not a ton of them, like movies with bikes in them, but there's enough. And Rad, of course, is the movie that a lot of people throw out there as a movie of their childhood. Breaking Away, I just watched the other night. I'm ashamed to say I've never seen it before, though
American Flyers.
American Flyers is a real famous one, too.
You know what? They hold a certain place, I think, in like American cinema. And then there's also there's foreign films like
The Bicycle Thief.
Il Postino.
Oh, that's right. Sex and the
wasn't really focused on a bike, but
lots of good stuff
bike
on
usage.
bikes.
Yeah.
Jacques Tati's Jules de Fête, which is an amazing.
That's really true.
Have you ever seen Jules de Fête?
Yes.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God. It might have a different name in English. I mean, obviously it would have a different name in English, but I don't know if they've translated. I know that Shay once asked me about it.
Right.
It's about a postman. I haven't seen Il Postino, but I have seen Jules Defet many times. And Jacques Tati, who is sort
it
of
a short film?
Ooh.
It started as a short. It was probably about a 10-minute short, and then it became a feature-length film called The Day of the Festival. And in the film, Jacques Tati, who's kind of a quasi Chaplin-esque type of actor director, except that his films have sound. But he's very, very much like a Buster Keaton or Chaplin. He's a very much of a physical comic, and he's very tall. Has long legs, and he's just a very long.
He's absurdist too, yeah. I mean,
he's but he carries himself very elegantly, a little bit like Christopher Walken, if you can imagine Christopher Walken being like a physical comic.
Sort of similar to him in that video, Weapon of Choice. Actually, is how I would compare him.
And then Tati is what it is. The story of the film is that the French are admiring of the Americans' can-do attitude and how they created this postal system that's like very high tech and high speed. This is just right around World War II or around, I think it was during
post World War II.
Actually,
just after, I think it was like 46, 45.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's around there. And so they're envious of the Americans. So then he sort of embodies that in the film, where he wants to be like the Americans. He wants to do everything fast. So he's biking, but he does these amazing bike stunts where he's stamping. He bikes up to the back of a dump truck while the dump truck is cruising down the highway, and he pulls himself up to the dump truck because the back door's open, and he uses it as his desk to stamp his envelopes. So he's like doing the stuff he normally would do in the bureau. He brings out onto the field, onto the highway while he's going, and so he's stamping all the envelopes while he's biking, and you can tell it's real. I mean, to the degree that they're really going down the highway and he's stamping his envelopes. Then there's a scene where he loses, I forget what happens. Somehow he jumps off his bike, but his bike keeps going, and the bike goes like around this curved hill, and he runs over the hill and then somehow manages to jump back on the bike.
I think that's what Colin did tonight from the Team Fatty Boombastic did to me.
Really? What did he do?
Sorry, that mental image that you're describing there just brought me back to that. See, well, we were on the first lap, and me and him, he was pole position 1 and I was 3, so he had about a 5-second head start.
Yeah.
So we basically raced from checkpoint to checkpoint.
Wow.
And I beat him. I took a right at North Avenue coming down Humboldt, and kind of cut across traffic through there, and he got caught up at the light. And I had like 100, 200 yards on him, approaching checkpoint 3.
Yeah.
I turned up and came up Holton.
Yeah.
And then I was like, look back, and he was nowhere to be seen. And as I'm coming up Holton, taking a right on Clark, I'm about to turn left onto Pierce, and he comes like flying, like it seemed like out of a backyard or something. It was like he came out of nowhere. I was like, where did he come from? And then we had this like crazy half a block sprint to the finish to win that first.
And
lap,
one of the things about the way that the bike race is set up is that because you have to get your manifest stamped at 4 points, it creates a kind of geographically it's geometrically impossible to cheat.
Right.
I mean, there's just no way, because you have to hit these 4 points.
Exactly.
So it's like creating a rectangle. There's just no way you can.
Because they won't stamp it unless you have the previous stamp.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. So you couldn't even you can't zigzag it or anything. Yeah.
Zigzag. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'd never noticed that, even though I've biked it 3 times.
Jacques Tati.
Anyway. Sorry, I got you off topic.
Well, no,
but no, not at all, dude.
In some ways, the main topic is the riverwest 24, and I'm glad you're keeping us on topic in a sense.
That's cool. Another film I was going to add that I just remembered, I was thinking it in my head, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was Early Spring has maybe my favorite shots of someone on a bicycle, and there's a great, I mean, Ozu, just as we've talked about a million times, or we both just love his filmmaking and his work. But there's a scene where the daughter, the ever-present daughter character, the ever-present child character in the Ozu film, is going to town with a local boy. And she just has that, and it's Setsuko Hara. Oh, God, just maybe the hottest woman ever put on film in a very quaint way, very, covered up way, conservative. And she just has this big smile and those big eyes, and she has her hair pulled back. And as she's biking with her shoulders, too, and there's this da-dun, da-dun, da-dun music, and it's clearly in front of a projected background.
Yeah.
But she's just, her whole body is into it, but she's just got this like cute sort of stupid grin on her face.
Yeah.
And then and just like Ozu, there's just 2 shots to show the action. There's the shot of her on the bike, and then it just cuts to just show the same images, but the camera bounces like how she's doing it with her shoulders, and it's just, but it's not like jagged Steadicam movement. It's just dum, 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 and it's effortless. It's absolutely just, if you don't smile while watching that scene, you should smile.
So it's Ozu's Early Spring.
Early Spring, my favorite Ozu
Are
film.
you putting that on a suggestion list for the
I would
movie series then?
No,
Next year, are we
Well,
coming up with the 2013?
I actually do have one that I would add, and I think what we're straying into here is a little bit. There's a difference between a film where the central character is bicycling,
and there's just a bike scene,
and versus having some great bike scenes in a movie. Pado-san, it's Padosan, is the way it's spelled on the DVD case. Is a DVD that I stumbled upon. And it's got an incredible musical number using bikes, and it's all women biking in India, and it's a beautiful film. But again, that scene is really just about 5 minutes or so. But it is a great.
Put those on our Facebook. So it'll remind me. But
okay,
feel free. We do welcome anyone who has suggestions for. I mean, it's for next year because
Well, also if you come into the store or something, if you're looking for movies, I can always. Because I also would say that we have some really great Chinese acrobat bicycling acrobatics that are just amazing.
Sex and Lucia is another film that has some really beautiful. But there's at least 5 or 6 scenes in that movie that have just incredible locations and incredible scenes that happen to have bikes in them, where a character travels from one location to another on a bike, and the traveling, the moments, and what the character's thinking without any dialogue actually taking place is maybe some of the most important. Is some of the most important scenes in the film, where there's just where there's a lot of dialogue, and all of a sudden there's just there's this stillness. Where she's just thinking, it fits in with the film very well, and it works very well with the pacing of the film. That like there's these really graphic, really like very comical sexual scenes in the movie, and there's like this dialogue about like sort of the.
You like the bike sex films? Have you seen the bike porn?
No, but I want to hear about it right now.
Maybe that's a whole nother segment.
No, real quick. We got 1 minute to talk.
Real quick, I'll just put a shout out. You can look it up online. Bike porn by Reverend Phil. He's a guy out of Portland. He takes small DIY made films. You can submit it to the film festival. He travels around the world and shows them. So look him up. He's come to Milwaukee twice before.
That's where
but you could catch him anywhere. You can look him up. Bike Smut 4 was the last one I think he came up with.
Dude,
it's literally like porn and bicycles.
I like it.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left, and Spider, Mike, and I think Rabbi are here to do their show.
Okay,
and,
what's up next? What are they going to talk about?
They're just going to do their thing. They generally come in here, they play guitar, play music, and they talk. And I'm going to go out in the field. I'm going to start doing some phoning in some stuff, interviews with people.
Oh, okay.
What about you, Jake? What's on your? Are you going to rest for a while?
I'm going to rest.
And get back on the...
I'm going to nap until about 4, and then I have to get support for my teammate. I'm back on support crew, so
cool.
Rest till 4.
How many are on your team?
6.
6 people on your team.
One bike.
Wow.
Neato.
And do you guys keep up pretty much the same pace the whole way?
Today so far?
No, just in past years. Is this the first time you've been a team, or you've been a team before?
No. Slightly different people, a couple different people, but the same core.
And are you guys? Do you train? Are you someone who bikes
just everyday ride? Yeah, we don't have a car, just ride everywhere.
Awesome.
But you don't do like workout type of biking?
Nope.
Okay, just curious. Sometimes I wonder the level of people's biking. How hard they train for stuff. All right. Well, good luck to MKE Bike Polo.
Thank you.
We'll see. Hopefully, you guys will hold your lead.
And thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. This was great. We needed a guest. You are a guest, and you did a great job, and you were very enlightening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Have
bye-bye.
a good one. All right. See ya.
Bye.
And be safe out there.
I will.
It's not worth. It's not worth getting.
Don't watch any
killed.
bike porn while you're racing. You'll fall off your bike.
Okay, and now we have a Spider Mike. Go ahead and stop the recording. Yep, stop record, and then just put the information.